everybody, welcome back. I'm feeling much more comfortable in front of the camera this time. If you saw my first video, I'm sorry. I didn't really know what I was doing, didn't really know what to say, but this video has a bit of a structure and it has a bit of a sort of flow to it. So I'm feeling much better about talking about this one because I know where it's going to end up, which is a nice thing. I'm just going to preface all of this with, again, if I'm not looking at the camera, it's because of my weird setup. I've got a phone on a tripod, I've got a laptop screen mirroring my phone facing me so that I can see what's going on. The laptop is reversing things. I don't know if my phone is reversing the image, so my rights and left are not the same as your rights and left, I don't think. I've also got an iPad in front of me that has the flow of this video on it. So if I'm looking down, that's what that is as well. So now that that's out of the way, hi, I'm Hannah. I am a historian, wannabe historian, and theatre lover and book lover, and I've recently started this channel because I want to push myself out of my comfort zone. So if you're down to talk about books and theatre and history with me, stay. It'll be very chatty and conversational and fun. If it's not something that sounds like it would be interesting to you, stay anyway, because I tend to go off on weird tangents about different things. So I may talk about something you're interested in at some point. But the video today is a bit of a musical theatre tag. Like I just said, love theatre, and I thought it'd be quite nice to start this channel talking about some of my favourite shows, favourite experiences in the theatre. I like a list of questions. I basically just googled, is there a musical theatre tag? And this list came up that I'm using. Don't know who originally made the list, so if you do know, let me know. I will obviously credit whoever that is, but I couldn't find the original writer of this list. But yeah, let's get started. So the honest answer to this question is I don't know. I don't know what the first musical that I saw was. There's every possibility it was Amdram or a regional production in the Millennium Centre in Cardiff, and I just can't remember. But I'm going to sort of link this to question 2, which is what was the first musical that you saw on the West End? Because this I do remember, and I would actually consider this a formative experience in my life. Because the first musical I saw on the West End was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was in 2007, so I was 7 years old, and it was the cast with Lee Mead. It was just after the Any Dream Will Do TV show, and I'm sure it was at the Adelphi. Don't quote me on that, I can double check, but I think it was at the Adelphi. And I remember absolutely loving this show. Now, the day after this, I went to see Wicked. I was on a sort of trip with my mum and my nan. We went to see Wicked, and I remember not enjoying it. Now, I was sat front and centre for this production of Wicked, front row, very middle, so that when Elphaba flew at the end of Act 1, I just remember she was like above my head. I think Hannah of 2025 would freak out if that was the case. One, because if you've looked at ticket prices for front and centre of Wicked these days, you know that's insane, and we got these tickets for free because it had only just opened. And even more than that, it was Idina Menzel, which is a crazy thing to say considering I came out of that production of Wicked just really not enjoying it. I don't know whether that's because I was 7, but yeah, it took me a long time to go and see it again. I think it was maybe 8 or 9 years ago, 7 or 8 maybe years ago, that it went on tour, and I went to see it in the Bristol Hippodrome, and then was like, oh, this is a really good show. I don't know why I hated this so much, and I'd convinced myself I didn't enjoy Wicked, but I actually did. It's a brilliant show, as I'm sure most of you know, and there's a reason that it's so beloved and has been running so long. But yes, convoluted answer, but that was my first time seeing a show/shows on the West End. So I have an answer immediately for this question, because after I saw Joseph on the West End, it was all I wanted to listen to. I knew every word, I knew every single song. My parents bought me a CD of it, and I would listen to it when we were in the car, when we were in the house, when I was in my room with a CD player playing with dolls or whatever. I used to reenact the show. I was a Barbie kid, so I had the Barbie dolls reenact the show of Joseph, which is a crazy thing for a 7 or 8 year old to be doing, but I was doing it. And it's just because I loved it. And I remember listening to that CD so much that the CD broke, and I was devastated. So my parents bought me another one. So yeah, it's the only show that I can say that I'm on my second CD of, because it was just so well used. Yes. Yes, I was in multiple musicals growing up. I've danced since the age of 3. And then as I got slightly older, my dance school introduced a musical theatre programme, which I loved, and then there was an adult musical theatre company that I was part of for many, many years, until I went to university, and then I sort of stepped away from that whole world and got out of it. And yeah, I was doing 3 shows a year, 3 musicals a year, since I was, I don't know, maybe 10 to 18, 19. Yeah, I remember I used to love it. The idea of getting up on a stage and singing now fills me with dread. But yeah, loved it. Always did shows. We did a lot of tap shows, which I absolutely loved, because tap dancing is my, not to blow my own horn, I am quite good at it. Tap dance lessons from the age of 3 tends to do that. But we used to do things like White Christmas and 42nd Street and Top Hat. We've done all the big ones, and I just loved them, and they were so much fun. Yeah, yes, many, many musicals. If I could be a female character in any musical, I actually don't know who that would be, because like I mentioned, the idea of getting up on a stage now is terrifying. I think when I was much younger, I just didn't have that fear, and because I was sort of in the theatre in lessons or classes 4 or 5 times a week, you just don't have that sort of anxiety, or not anxiety, but the sort of understanding of being perceived, if that makes sense. I was just much more chilled about it all than I am now. That being said, if I could be any female character in a musical, I'm gonna go with Meg from Love Never Dies, purely because that would mean there is a revival of Love Never Dies happening, which would just be ideal for me, because I am absolutely desperate to see that show and no one's done it. So yeah, that would be my tactical answer to get a show back onto the West End. Similarly with this question, I don't know who the answer would be. Apologies if you can hear that rumbling noise. It might be quite loud. I do live on a high street where people like to drive big flashy cars up and down it, and it does get quite loud, and I live in a listed building, so it's all single glazing. But yeah, hopefully you can't hear that too much, and now I've spoken past it, so it's fine. But yeah, male part, if I was someone who could be considered for a male part, maybe Phantom in Phantom of the Opera, because I love that show, and I think the Phantom has some of the best songs in musical theatre, really. They're pretty iconic, and yeah, I just think it would be a fun part. Now this question, believe it or not, is complicated. I'm not a shower singer. I do like to sing for myself, I do it a lot in the car. So I'm going to change this question to what's your favourite musical theatre song to sing in the car? And even then, I'm going to give you a very vague answer because I don't have a specific song, but at the moment, it's the Curious Case of Benjamin Button soundtrack that is on repeat. I just love that show and I love the sound of it, and it's really fun to sing along to, particularly if you do a lot of driving for work, which I do, and you're driving between sort of museums and different sites. It's not a super long album, so you can get a decent way through, and it's just really fun. I love that show and the sound of it, so we'll go with that. This question is going to raise some eyebrows because I'm quite well known within my personal circle for not being a huge lover of movie musicals. They just never really do it for me. If I'm watching a film, I want to watch a film, and if I'm watching a musical, I want to be sat in a theatre, basically. I just feel like they never really hit. Yeah, there's just something about them that doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. I think it's because musicals are a very different method of storytelling to films, and there's a longer discussion to be had here, and it is something I do want to go into because I kind of want to figure out what I actually think about movie musicals, or musicals that have been turned into films specifically, which I really struggle with. But I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna answer the question and say my favourite film adaptation of a musical is the Hamilton proshoot, for a number of reasons, mainly because it sort of normalised the proshoot, and I understand why they're needed because I'm in a very lucky position where I'm close to London, I'm close to a number of regional theatres, so I do get to see a lot of theatre, and I can also afford it, which is, I mean, it's one of those things that I prioritise saving money for. I go to the theatre, that is what I do, I enjoy it. And I know there's a lot of people who can't because of travel, or you'd have to stay overnight, or just the cost of tickets, which are just going up and up and up, and it's just getting a bit ridiculous in the UK at the moment. I think that's probably another completely separate video, so I won't go into it here. But yeah, I think the Hamilton proshoot sort of highlighted how much of a demand for professionally shot shows there was, and with it going on to something like Disney Plus and opening it up to such a massive audience, I think that was a really good thing. I haven't watched the next normal one yet, but I'm sure when I watch that will probably usurp Hamilton. But yeah, I think just the idea of a proshoot. I'd rather every musical got a proshoot rather than a movie adaptation, if that makes sense. Now, it might be unfair to say this for this one because I don't know if it's underrated or whether it's just new. The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry at Chichester Festival Theatre, which is going to the West End next year, I didn't see much buzz about it anywhere. I didn't see a lot of the sort of... Sorry. There's a motorbike going past now. Let's carry on. Yeah, I was shocked that I didn't see that much of a buzz about it. I was expecting to see a lot more discourse online about this show because of the way it was staged and the music, and it had music from Passenger and it had a really stacked cast. It was like, oh god, I'm testing myself, Mark Addy, Jenna Russell, really fantastic people, and I just didn't see anything about it. And there does seem to be, now that they've announced they're going to London, there seems to be a little bit more of a fuss being made about it, but yeah, it was just one that really surprised me that at the time, like, I almost missed it at Chichester because I completely forgot what the dates were, and then there was nothing coming out about it, and then I looked and I managed to snag a ticket for one of the later shows, but it was the last ticket available that day. It was selling really well, but I'm just surprised that there weren't more people so excited about it because it was brilliant. So yeah, hopefully when it does go to London, I will be able to take it off my underrated musicals list But in the meantime, I think that is the one that stands out to me. This question is gonna get me in trouble because it's Mamma Mia. I don't get it. I've never got it. Again, this is going to be one of those things, if you know me in person and you're watching this, first of all, please don't bring this up to me. This is me on YouTube. It's a different person. I'm not acting much different to how I act in person. Yeah, cannot stand Mamma Mia. I'm sorry. I like ABBA. I like the songs. Hate the story. And it just grinds my gears. It's just not for me. And I understand that's a me thing, but yeah, Mamma Mia, so overrated. I think the more apt way of saying this is, what musical didn't make me cry? Because I am quite well known for being a crier at musicals. I actually don't cry at a lot of things. Musicals get me. They just get me. A couple of times, and this is like a since COVID thing, and the musical I am going to say is the first musical I saw after COVID, which is also an incredibly sad musical, which is Come From Away. But I remember the day I saw that was the first thing I'd seen sort of post-lockdown. So we were all still wearing masks, and it was a day of West End Live. I'd been in West End Live all day and then went to see Come From Away. And they started up the overture. I can't remember if it's got an overture or like the first bit of music. And I just sobbed. I just burst into tears. Because I was just so happy to be back in a theatre with people. And then obviously that show is a pretty hard-hitting show. And I do think it's probably one of the best put together shows I've seen in a long time. It is brilliant. But yeah, I just remember being in absolute bits all the way through it because I don't know. But since then, since then, anytime I hear an overture, I just get emotional, I get all welled up. And I think it's because of the idea of hearing that music live. And theatre was the thing I missed most during, or like the luxury thing I missed most during COVID, and the idea that we spent so long not being able to go to shows and we didn't know what that would look like when it came back. So when it did come back, I all of a sudden got very weepy about all of it, which is a little bit pathetic, but yeah, Come From Away is the show that, for multiple reasons, I cried the most at. I'm gonna go with Come From Away again, because I just remember being in such a heightened way of, or heightened sort of state of feeling, if that makes sense, because I was so sort of like, oh my god, we're back in a theatre. And it is a funny show. There's bits in it that are really, really funny. I'm gonna absolutely butcher it, but the bit where they're going around collecting barbecues, and then I can't remember what the line is, but it's something like, suddenly he's helping me steal his own barbecue, something like that. But because I was so sad about the first part of the show, and you got like Me in the Sky and all the sad, scary bits, and then you feeling so low that when something like that happens, it just really pulls that laugh out of you. And I'm not a big sort of laugh out loud person, but that is one show that I do remember properly belly laughing at with everyone else in the theatre as well. It was just a different atmosphere in that show. This question seems harsh. I'm not sure how I feel about answering it. And even when I answer, I am going to answer it with like the sort of big caveat that it was really complicated. I find it really complicating disliking shows, because they're so subjective. Sorry, I got distracted by the fact that my phone's on 20%. yeah, it's such a complicated thing to say, like, I hated this, because I think that's a really, really loaded word. And I think there's a lot of things that you can hate. And I don't really think a musical is one of them, regardless of how good or bad you perceive it to be. Um, I know the show I enjoyed the least. I've got one that does come to mind. And that was the recent tour of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, it was the professional tour, and the actors were good. They were really good. They did what they could, but I don't think the material is particularly strong. Wasn't a huge fan of the way it was structured. Oh, none of the songs stand out to me. I don't remember a single one of them. And the set was the most disappointing thing I think I've ever seen. And I almost think disappointment is worse than hating something. It was just, it was a box. They were really quite expensive tickets. I saw this in the Millennium, and the tickets weren't cheap. And the set was in essence a white box that they projected stuff onto, and the projections weren't massively crisp. It wasn't a sort of great use of projection. And they had maybe 10 prop pieces that came on and off. I remember there was like a big sort of junkyard thing for Junkyard Scene at the beginning that sort of like came together and then left again. And then yeah, the chocolate room had like a tree, and then everyone was walking around pretending to pick things off trees. It all just felt a little bit GCSE drama, and it was really unfortunate. Because like I said, everyone who was in it was great, and I never want to leave a show feeling sorry for the people that are in it. And that sounds really harsh, and I don't want people to think that I'm some sort of massive snob, because I think you can do big shows with limited sets, and I've seen it done really well in other shows, but this one just didn't work for me. But yeah, maybe that one. This is a question that I've been thinking about, probably deeper than any question on this list, weirdly. There are plenty that I'm dying to see, but can't think of them off the top of my head. I mean, Carrie is one. Carrie the musical. I feel like that needs a revival. I feel like that needs a chance. I would absolutely love to see that, because like I said, big fan of books, so a musical based on a book is a yes in my books. Didn't mean it like that. Didn't need to say book so many times. Yeah, I really want to see it, and I like the music from it. I think it's a really, really good score, and the songs are great, so I would love to see that. Love Never Dies is another one I've mentioned already. I really want to see that as well. I'm feeling like it could happen. We seem to be in a bit of an Andrew Lloyd Webber renaissance at the moment, so maybe we're going to get Love Never Dies, and they did a concert of it a couple of years ago, which I unfortunately missed, which I'm a little bit devastated about, because I just love the music from that show, and I know that when it was first on the West End it didn't do fantastically well, but I have literally in front of me. Am I going to lean forward and get it? Yeah, I'll lean forward and get it. Under my TV I've got the DVD of is it the Australian pro shoot, and I love this, and this is something that I used to watch on repeat when I was like 12, 13. I just think the way it was reworked was fantastic, and it looks really impressive, and it's another big impressive musical, and I like a musical that's got a lot of sets and a lot of costumes, and that's one of them. I just think it would, maybe it's time, maybe we need to bring it back. But yeah, Love Never Dies is definitely on that list. Anastasia, I'm a little bit gutted we never got that, because again, the music is phenomenal, and anyone who grew up in the early 2000s like me probably has seen the film hundreds of times and loved it. And yeah, I want that to come to the UK. It seems to have been a good couple of years since it's been seen anywhere though, so who knows. But yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that we never got it. And the last one is a little bit of a cheat, because technically I have seen this musical. I say technically, I have seen this musical. And that's Rebecca. I saw it a couple of years ago at the Charing Cross. And I know it didn't get super rave reviews. The contents did, and the performances did. But because it was at the Charing Cross, it was a much smaller production than the, I think it's German production or the Austrian production. And I mean, Rebecca the musical was the thing that sort of got me into musical theatre history as a sort of sub-genre of history that I thought I could look at. And there's a fantastic documentary by Wait in the Wings, which I got obsessed with. And when I then obviously saw the show, and it was the English language premiere, and Rebecca is my favourite book of all time. I absolutely adore it. And I just think that show deserves a massive production on the West End. Not that I know how you would fund that, or if anyone would want to fund that, and I don't know how well it would sell, but I think it should have the chance, and I really, really want it to. But yeah, that is definitely the one I'm dying to see done all out. I mean, the production I saw, I absolutely adored it. That was, thinking off the top of my head, the only person cast-wise I can think of is Lauren Jones, who is another fantastic actress. I saw her in Bonnie and Clyde as well. She was Bonnie when I saw her at the Arts, and she was just brilliant. But yeah, it's such a good show, and it's another one that seemed to fly under the radar for a lot of people because it's not a theatre that a lot of people know about, I don't think. It's not one that people keep an eye out for, which is a shame because it was just so good. It was so good. This question kind of links to what I was saying earlier. I can't think of a single musical that I would want to see as a film. I think if something's being conceived as a musical, it's because it works best as a musical, and if something's being conceived as a film, it's because it needs a film. Budget is wrong because musicals take budget, but it's because it needs the structure of a film and the sort of freedoms you have with a film. I think a musical doesn't need to be a film. I think I'm quite happy to leave those as two separate things because I enjoy films and I enjoy musicals separately, and I count them as two different sort of hobbies of mine. So yeah, I can't think of a single musical that I would go and see and say I want to see that as a film. Now, this is what I mean when I said earlier I think there's a bigger conversation to be had here, because when I hear book turned into musical, I get very excited. Much more excited than I get when I hear movie turned into musical, because there's nothing I don't know what it is. I am not a massive fan of movie to musical adaptations. I've so far, with the exception of Moulin Rouge, which I think is actually better as a show than a film, there's actually not one that I found I like. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But books as musicals tend to work incredibly well because the prose is much more lyrical. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's something there. And in the vein of Rebecca being my favourite book of all time and me really enjoying Rebecca the musical, who wants to take on Jamaica Inn? Jamaica Inn is a brilliant book. It's also an incredible place. I've done quite a lot of like solo trips there to just take a pile of books, stay for a couple of nights, drink cider and eat really good food. It's like my favourite place. It's truly a happy place for me. And that book is just amazing. Anything Daphne du Maurier, I think she's very gothic, and her writing lends itself to a musical. Sort of in the way that Phantom is gothic and the book lends itself to a musical. So yeah, I think that rounds out that. Yeah, Jamaica Inn. Someone give it a go. So that is the list complete. We've got no more questions. I don't know how long this video is going to be because I started filming this as one big long video, but I don't have that much faith in my editing techniques, so I did it all as little clips. And hopefully, as you're watching this, you should have seen sort of little cards pop up in between each section that have the question on, as long as I can actually figure out how to do that, which I think I know how to do, so we'll give it a go. But yeah, who knows how long this video is. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought. Did you agree with what I said? Did you disagree with anything? Are there people out there who are ardent movie musical lovers or movie musical adaptation lovers who've got a suggestion of one that you think I will absolutely love? Because I'm always open to it. I really wish I enjoyed them more, I just don't. But yeah, thanks for watching. I don't know what my next video is going to be, or indeed when it will come out, or when I will film it. But I'm gonna try. We'll see what I do. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you, and yeah, subscribe if you want to stick around and see more rambly videos from me. Maybe they'll get less rambly as we go along, who knows. But yeah, thanks.